I simply love this machine with everything that's going on, the moving parts. I think it looks wicked. It's the mean, lean mush machine. All of it, it's so freaking industrial. But you know what? This is only a step on the way towards what this video is really all about today, which is this totally self-sustaining, fully moss-powered, automatic super smelter. Hello dudes and dudesses, and welcome back to another video, this time about a super smelter. Super smelter. A moss powered, self-sustaining, 100% automatic super smelter. It all started right here last week when I made a tutorial on this thing behind me, a very small and compact yet highly efficient moss and perhaps bone meal farm. When the video was done, I went back into this world and I messed around a bit more with the moss farm because I want to build it in my reboot world, and I kind of made some additions, nothing crazy. I just put in some filters which makes it so that you can turn on and off which items needs to be bone mealed. And in that process I found out that when I bone meal the moss and the carpets but leave the azaleas, you get a lot of azaleas. Actually, in 1 hour you get 11.3 stacks, and 11.3 stacks is the equivalent of 723 items in burn time, and a furnace can burn 360 items an hour. So that's actually 2 furnaces it can supply continuously for an hour. They can burn through an hour uninterrupted from this small setup right here. And then you still have bone meal to boot. Now that's pretty crazy, I think. Or actually I thought, because it is in past tense, it's almost a week ago, and it sent me whirling down a rabbit hole where I have been building and testing to try and make a super smelter that produces the fuel needed in real time, so you don't have to pile up or stack up on anything beforehand. It's a moss farm graveyard, and it goes longer than the render distance in all directions. But as long as we're here, this is the one I built in the tutorial, and as I wrote afterwards in the video description, this is the block I forgot to place. It's not a big thing, but I forgot to place it, and it means that sometimes the moss and stuff can get over there and not go into the hoppers. And while we're at it, some of you have asked me, why did I make it 5 by 5 and not 7 by 7? Isn't that much more efficient? Well, actually there's a couple of reasons for that, because in this farm we are pushing in the stones from 3 sides like this. And if I were to make this 7 by 7, I would have to make it very different, because without getting too technical on this part right now, because that's not the topic of this video, water needs to run in from both sides. It has to be running underneath, so I placed water there, and there, and then both lava sources have water underneath them from both sides. Otherwise you have to do it quite differently in order to get a 7 by 7. If you are a regular on this channel, you know I like to build things fairly compact and in player size or in human scale, so you can place it in a building. And finally, this farm right here, which produces around 16,000 items an hour, or the equivalent of more than 800 bone meals an hour, is actually more efficient than most 7 by 7 farms out there. I just watched a recent video with Mango's design, and it has to be said that it is made for tiling, so it's made for easy making a big farm of it, but that only in quotation marks makes around 500 I think per hour. So 800 plus, that's quite efficient. If you're interested in why that is, I can show you. This is a 7x7 area, and let's bone meal it. And that's the spread on number 3. Theoretically, and sometimes it's not unusual, it will bone meal all the 7 blocks, but as you can see here, it almost always bone meals most of 5x5. It always bone meals 3x3, very often 5x5, and then it kind of very often leaves something out here. So when you leave that out, you don't lose that much efficiency. But back on track, the bone meal, the surplus bone meal. I wanted to use the surplus bone meal, so how could I do that? I actually made this edition of the farm, which is exactly the same as we saw before, only I added one layer up here without any kind of stones being pushed in. It's only a flushing layer. It's just moss that's being bone mealed and then flushed. You can see it works like this. So this one down here produces the moss blocks and the bone meal, and the surplus bone meal is via this dropper put up here and used just to make surface stuff from moss. I actually also tried this in this version where I used a 7x7 because it's actually different when you only bone meal the surface. Then the surface matters quite a bit more. This one actually produces 1.5 stack more per hour than this one, but I kind of turned the back on this again because I'm not usually the one to fuss too much about lag, because very often my contraptions, farms, redstone things and so on are intended for casual players in single player worlds or on smaller servers, not big technical servers. But lag from flushing water, that's real. That gets old very, very fast, and you cannot have one dispenser flashing the whole 7x7 area efficiently. So that's why I kind of stopped developing on this version. But having made a second floor to this, it made me think, why not make a second floor with a stone generator? And it's actually surprisingly simple. This, as you can see, it's a total repeat of this up here. So I just took this and built it one more time with a block, well, actually with 2 blocks in between. And I had to make a modification. If you look over there, you can see I had the walls in the original one. The walls are down here, and then it goes into hoppers. And here I have the wall up here, so it can flush down. And then I have honey blocks, which allows the hoppers underneath to suck from that side and from the top. And that kind of works nicely. But when you have so many items as you have here, it clogs up. It totally clogs up the hoppers. So I just opted for having it going directly into a water stream, which means that I moved this part here out 1 block. I had to put obsidian here because now, you know, hoppers are immovable blocks items, and then there was nothing. And I also had to figure out what to put here so that the items could flow down, and I ended up with the lightning rod. I think you can use, I'm pretty sure you can use in rods as well, but you cannot use fences or walls because they connect to the blocks and block off the items. This system is actually quite neat as well. When these 2 are full, it kind of sends a signal down here and unlocks this hopper, which means that the bone meal, surplus bone meal, will go over here and be pushed up in this water stream right here and go down this dropper, which is shooting downwards, and this dropper, which is shooting downwards. And in here you can see we have a dispenser looking at the grass and the flowing water right here. So when this one grows, it sends up a signal to that block, that moss block right there, and fires the dispenser underneath that shoots bone meal into that block right there. The nice thing about this is that when all the bone meal from this farm down here is, and this farm because it goes down, is full down here, then it goes up here. When it's full up here, then this sends a signal down and locks that hopper right there and unlocks that one, which means that the surplus bone meal go down here. Let's just turn it on. Let's see it's functioning. I just love all the moving parts in this. Everything is moving. Yeah. 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 Now, if you want carpets, all you do is flip a lever and then you will start having carpets down here that you can use for whatever you want to use moss carpets for. And the Super Smelter right here is not self-sustaining, but it is fueled by the azaleas. I love this system, I really do, but it's not a self-sustaining system. It would be a really nice system to have and to make a building around. Can't you see it? A factory, maybe with bricks and granite and so on. Super cool. But we still haven't solved the challenge with the surplus bone meal. We have a few choices when it comes to making fuel with bone meal. We can make kelp, but then there's a crafting process and a smelting process before we can craft, so that's maybe not that desirable, not in a system that has to be fully automatic. Then of course there's always bamboo. We can make bamboo pretty fast and pretty good, and that's probably a good solution. But one stack of bone meal only produces 1.5 stack of bamboo, and bamboo only smelts 1/4 of an item. So there goes 4 bamboo to smelting 1 item, which means that a whole stack of bone meal actually only smelts 24 items. And then I got to thinking, what really turned me on to this was azalea. So why not make something that makes azalea? And I had already made the flushing version over there, but how about one that was powered by just pistons pushing the items down? And as it turns out, 1 stack of bone meal will produce 1.767 stacks of azaleas, which equals 53 items, because azaleas burn half or smelts half an item. And furthermore, it produces another surplus of things that can be turned into bone meal. It is a noise and a lag machine though, but that's how it looks. And now came the time to put it all together and make it fully automatic, and I made this creation. It could be bigger. I could have used double layers here, but I didn't. I wanted to keep it fairly simple. And it's 4 independent moss farm and a turbo booster, I suppose you can call this one. Yeah, let's call it a turbo booster. And for some reason I have, because it couldn't be in a double chest, so I had it running for half an hour, and this is what I got. And additionally I got this bone meal that can be used in the turbo booster. And all of that is equivalent of 3,168 items an hour, which is the equivalent of having 8.8 furnaces burning continuously. And this one actually also produces things that can be producing bone meal, so it's a bit more, and theoretically that's why I made this for 9 furnaces. But as you will see in a little while, that's only theoretically, because in reality it can keep up with maybe 10, 11, 12 furnaces in real time. Now let's check it out, this bad boy. The way you use it is you go in here and, for instance, you decide that you want to smelt some stone, you turn it on. Now what you will see up here is when it uses the fuel, the whole system activates. And I will go through it in detail, but you see the furnaces light up, the stones start coming in, and it's all automatic. So this system only have to run when you're smelting. It will only provide the fuel that is necessary for the thing that you're actually smelting, which is pretty cool. Now if we look down here, you can see it's automatically being filled while it's using the fuel, and I've designed this with 9 furnaces. I could have made 10, 11, 12 and it would still work real time, but that's because of practice and theory, and in practical modes it can keep up with a lot more than it can in theory, because there's an excess of things that can be composted and turned into bone meal and go in that part right there, that is the booster part. This can go on forever and ever and ever, and you could hook this up of course to a cactus farm. That would be smart. Then you would have an XP generator right here. When it's finished and it's filled and ready to go again, it will turn itself off. You don't have to do a thing. All you have to do is go over here and turn this off. So now you can see, now it's going, and this is the refueling. It's just telling you that it's still refueling, and that's because this one needs to be full, but all the furnaces need to be full as well, and these need to be full as well, and the minecart needs to be full as well. I don't know if you can see it, but it does kind of take a toll on your frame rates. 22, 21, 35, and now we should see the farm slowly shut off by itself, and you can see it closed off there, it closed off there, it closed off there instantly. Once you've smelted what you need, it stops and it's back at the same level. Is this not the coolest thing ever? Totally fantastic to look at. I love all the moving parts, but let's start over here. This is the moss farm, and of course there's a stone generator and it produces moss down here, and the moss is flushed over and falls down into these water streams down here, and it goes by these filters, and these filters, they filter out the moss blocks, of course, the carpet, the grass seed, the wheat seeds, and returns them down here to where they get turned into bone meal. This is kind of makeshift redstone, but it fires this and it goes up here because it's glass and it can, and it fires all of these and pushes up the bone meal up there. So as soon as it's full again, it retracts, and when it's open like this, the bone meal can go out here. There's a comparator missing right there. Hang on. So probably the farm is doing even better than I thought. I was missing a comparator. Strange. And you can see then it spits it out to this water stream, and we will follow up on that later. And when it's have passed these filters, it goes on, and there's another farm, and it goes on right here, and then it goes out here and in there, and only the azalea and the flowering azalea will go down there because they're the only fuel items. And the same happens on the other side. Now let's look at the surplus bone meal. The surplus bone meals get spat out into this water stream right here, and goes into this middle turbo charger in the middle right here, and it kind of works the same way. There's a dispenser, and it's dispensing bone meal towards the moss, and when the bone meal gets down here, it's pushed up via this drop elevator all the way up there, up there, up there. Now the farm is turned off, so that's why you're not seeing it. Then this fires as well. That of course doesn't produce moss blocks, it only produces azalea and flowering azalea and grass leaves, and it goes into the same water streams. This first one right here, in here, out here. The grass goes and the carpets go in these filters and get to making even more bone meal, and then that also goes out in here. That's a pretty neat system, and even though it may look, I love the way it looks. Even though it looks very industrial, it's very repetitive, because this part part here and this part here are totally identical, and these two parts are totally identical. They're only mirrored. So it's basically 4 identical parts and then this very simple part right here. And then there's the Super Smelter itself. And I actually modified it in between because I noticed that if this card was going and you turned it off later than the farm, when the farm was still going, it kept the fuel card going. So I just made this small system to take care of that as well. So now what you do, if you put in something right here, let's use stone. If I put in 16 stone that it will take at one time, you will see it goes away, it fires up, it goes back, and then it stops. And the farm of course will start up because you're using fuel, and it will refuel it, and it will stop when it's refueled. Like so. What if I put in more than it can take in one hole, because there's only 9 furnaces, and then I send it off again? Then you can see that it will go more than once. And it's basically just this detector rail that detects what's in the minecart, and if it's empty, if it's full, it sends it off again. If it's empty, it doesn't. Let's look at the system for the fuel distribution. Let's get down here. It's basically the same. Every time it goes back, it crosses this detector line, and I send a signal through there with a delay. And the reason I use this delay is because if it just went in very fast and very fast out, it would only pick up very few items. With the delay, there's always enough, so there's enough to put 1 or 2 items in each of the furnaces. So you don't have like filled the first furnaces and then not the last ones. One cut-up system is that when the farm itself stops right here, this turns on, it locks this one, so it can't, it doesn't matter if there's a minecart on it, so it can't fire this again, and then the cart stops. And there's, of course, that's triggered by when this is full. That's a Super Smelter, new design of Super Smelters in order to be automatic, so it's a totally self-sustaining system. I hope I explained it in a way that makes sense. I will leave, of course, a world download for you guys. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you find this as amazing as I do. I think this is really a thing that is useful in my world, at least, hopefully also in yours. And the concept that you can make a fully self-sustaining farm and a fully self-sustaining super smelter that relatively easy is just great, I think. If you like the video, remember to leave a like, it helps the channel. If you're brand new, remember to subscribe, hit that belly button, all that jazz, and you get notified when I put out other videos. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.